right? We all know it. Candy, costumes, the whole spooky fun thing. But
it goes deeper than that.
It does, right. And that's what we're looking at today. I mean, this holiday, it's more than just a holiday. It's become this cultural and economic force. It impacts everything. Theme parks.
Theme parks, movies.
Movies, even couples therapy, apparently.
Yeah, that one surprised me too. It's fascinating.
So we've got a lot to unpack, and we've got some really interesting sources to dig into. Theme park Halloween wars.
The resurgence of horror movies.
And even the psychology behind why we love all things spooky. This is going to be fun. Where should we start?
Well, let's start with the theme parks. Halloween has become incredibly lucrative for them.
Oh, yeah. Those Halloween wars articles were fascinating. Seriously, who knew theme parks went so all in for Halloween?
It's a huge market, especially in the U.S., a $12 billion industry. But those numbers, they don't really tell the whole story. What's interesting is why Halloween is such a perfect fit for theme parks.
I'm all ears because, honestly, before this deep dive, I just thought it was, spooky decorations and stuff.
It's much more strategic than that. Halloween allows theme parks to extend their season. They're drawing crowds even when the weather might not be ideal. Plus, they get to create these exclusive events, tap into this whole new marketing thing, and they can really play with immersive experiences.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just adding cobwebs to the regular rides. It's about creating a totally different experience.
Exactly. And that's where those Halloween wars come in. Parks like, well, Universal is going all out. They want to create these really intense, immersive Halloween events. Their Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando is a great example. It runs for 48 nights straight.
48 nights? Wow.
Yeah.
That's longer than some concert tours. That's got to take so much work to pull off.
Oh, it does. Just think about the logistics, Designing haunted houses, training, scare actors, coordinating these elaborate shows, keeping everything running smoothly for that many nights. It's crazy. And Universal even had to hire 6,000 extra employees just to handle all the visitors.
Wow. So it's almost like creating a whole new town just for Halloween.
Yeah, pretty much. And all this effort, it shows just how much money these events generate. Theme parks aren't messing around. Halloween is serious business. It's become this massive revenue driver.
It's like they're competing for who can scare us the most. And speaking of scary, the horror movie industry, that's booming too, right?
Absolutely. In the past decade, box office revenue for horror films it's doubled, reaching a cool $1 billion annually.
Wow. That's a lot of people choosing to be scared.
Yeah.
What's driving this horror movie renaissance?
Well, a lot of it has to do with this production company called Blumhouse. They're the masterminds behind, successful franchises like Paranormal Activity.
Oh, and The Purge.
Right. They've really they've tapped into what modern audiences find frightening.
And they're not just sticking to movies either. Blumhouse is branching out into immersive horror experiences, like transforming the Stanley Hotel, the one from The Shining, for overnight stays. Brilliant.
It's a great example of this trend we're seeing, experiential entertainment. People don't just want to watch a movie anymore. They want to feel like they're in the movie.
Oh, yeah. It definitely takes the scary movie marathon to a whole new level. But it's not just theme parks and movie studios getting in on the action. Even Airbnb is offering stays in a replica of the Beetlejuice house, part of their iconic stays program.
It seems like everyone's realizing that people are eager to step into those worlds they see on screen. Especially when it comes to horror. They want those immersive, thrilling, even slightly terrifying experiences.
So we've got these big players, theme parks and Hollywood embracing Halloween. But what about smaller companies? Are they finding ways to tap into the spooky season too?
Oh, they are. And they're getting incredibly creative. We found some interesting examples in the sources, like Kraken Rum is curating this art gallery of horror in London.
Kraken Rum and art. Okay, that's an unexpected combo.
Right. But it works. They're blending spooky with sophisticated. It seems to be resonating with their audience.
Yeah, it's tapping into that Halloween spirit, but still staying true to their brand. I read that last year they even they experimented with this cocktail experience where the drink prices were determined by your heart rate.
Talk about a high-stakes happy hour. It's a great example of how companies, even those not traditionally associated with Halloween, are finding these inventive ways to participate and engage their customers.
So it seems like everyone's getting in on the Halloween fun, from global corporations to local businesses. But there's one more aspect of Halloween's impact I want to explore, and this one might surprise you.
Oh, do tell.
We found some research suggesting that Halloween might actually be beneficial for relationships.
Now that's intriguing. You're saying haunted houses and scary movies could be the key to a stronger bond.
Well, maybe not the key. But the research is uh, pretty interesting. A study by the Mall of America found that 73% of people felt more satisfied with their partners after experiencing a haunted house together.
73%. That's a surprisingly high percentage. What could explain that connection?
The research suggests that shared fear can lead to increased feelings of connection and even boost attraction. Facing a challenge together, even a spooky one, it can create a sense of solidarity.
It does make you wonder if couples therapy should involve more haunted houses. But seriously, the idea that a shared experience of fear can bring people closer together is fascinating.
It definitely adds a whole new dimension to that.
Yeah.
Couples who slay together, stay together concept. But before we start recommending haunted houses to all our friends, let's dig a little deeper into why we as humans are so drawn to horror in the first place.
That's a great question. Clearly, there's something about being scared that we find both terrifying and strangely enjoyable.
Researchers at Johns Hopkins, they suggest it's all about that emotional roller coaster. Horror can trigger both negative fear, anxiety, and positive excitement, joy feelings simultaneously.
And that unique blend of emotions it's what makes horror so compelling. It's not just about the scares, it's about the way those scares make us feel.
It seems like the thrill of conquering our fears, even in a controlled environment like, a haunted house or a movie, can be oddly satisfying.
Right. It's like a test we put ourselves through. And that adrenaline rush, combined with knowing we're ultimately safe, well, that can be a surprisingly positive and even bonding experience.
So facing our fears can be fun, profitable, and even good for our relationships. Halloween is full of surprises. But it's not just impacting us older folks. Gen Z seems to be particularly drawn to horror, more so than previous generations. They're really shaping the future of fright.
They are, and I think that's a perfect place to pick up when we come back. We'll explore how Gen Z is changing the Halloween landscape, and we'll delve a bit deeper into those fascinating psychological insights behind our love of horror. Welcome back to our deep dive into all things Halloween. Before the break, we were talking about Gen Z and how they seem to be particularly drawn to horror.
Right. It's like every generation kind of puts their own spin on things, traditions.
Yeah.
So what is it about Gen Z that makes them such big horror fans? Is it more than just like jump scares and stuff?
It definitely goes deeper than that. The research suggests a few things are at play. One is that, Gen Z has grown up in a world that, it often feels chaotic and uncertain, right? I mean, just look at the news. It's climate change concerns, political divisions, economic anxieties. I mean, it's a lot. And horror can provide a sort of escape from that constant barrage of real-world stress,
So it's like controlled fear is a relief compared to like the uncontrolled anxieties of, everyday life.
Exactly. Horror allows them to confront those fears, but in a safe environment where they know, the threat isn't real. It's a way of processing those anxieties and gaining a sense of control in a world that often feels, out of control.
That makes a lot of sense. But I also read that Gen Z is particularly savvy when it comes to media and entertainment. They're not just passively consuming content. They're actively engaging with it, creating their own narratives and using it as a form of self-expression.
That's a crucial point. Horror, with its rich symbolism, complex characters, those often open-ended narratives, it provides a lot of material for that kind of engagement. We see this playing out in, how Gen Z is approaching Halloween costumes, for example.
Oh, yeah, the costumes. I've seen some incredibly creative, elaborate designs on social media. It's like a whole new level, like artistry and imagination.
It's not just about, looking scary anymore. Gen Z is using costumes to make statements, express their individuality, comment on social issues, even engage in, political satire. Halloween has become this platform for self-expression and a way to connect with, like-minded individuals.
Yeah, almost like horror has become this language that they're using to communicate with each other, with the world. And speaking of languages, remember how we were talking about those Halloween wars at theme parks? Well, it seems those wars are, they're spilling over into other areas of entertainment, too.
Oh, you mean like the Universal Horror Unleashed event, the one happening at Area 15 in Las Vegas?
That's the one. I'm so intrigued by this partnership. Universal is bringing its signature horror experiences to Area 15, which is, it's already known for its, immersive, mind-bending attractions.
It's a brilliant move. Area 15 provides the perfect canvas for for Universal's creative team to really push the boundaries of what a horror experience can be. They're tapping into cutting-edge technology, immersive storytelling, even a bit of that dark tourism appeal that we were talking about earlier.
Right. We talked about how dark tourism, visiting locations associated with, death, disaster, the macabre, it's on the rise. And this event at Area 15 seems to be playing with those themes, creating this sort of controlled dark tourism experience.
It's a clever way to tap into that fascination with the darker side of, history and human experience, while still, maintaining a sense of safety and entertainment.
And it speaks to how horror can be so much more than just jump scares and gore. It can be a way to explore these complex themes, to grapple with existential questions, and even to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Absolutely, and I think that's what makes horror so enduringly popular. It reflects something fundamental about, the human experience, our curiosity about the unknown, our fascination with the macabre, our desire to confront our fears.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've talked about the economic impact of Halloween, the psychology behind our love of horror, the ways in which Gen Z is shaping the holiday, even the rise of dark tourism. It's amazing how something as seemingly simple as Halloween can be, well, it's so multifaceted.
It really is. It's a testament to the power of storytelling, of our need to explore, the darkness and the light, to find meaning in both.
Speaking of exploring the darkness, we haven't really delved into those specific haunted houses at Universal Horror Unleashed, have we? The sources mentioned Chucky, The Exorcist, even Stranger Things as inspirations.
Oh, I'm sure those haunted houses are going to be terrifyingly good. Imagine coming face to face with Chucky in this dimly lit claustrophobic space, or experiencing the sheer psychological terror of The Exorcist, but brought to life.
I can't even imagine. I'm both terrified and incredibly curious to see how they translate these iconic horror films into immersive experiences. And the Stranger Things one is especially intriguing, given how popular that show is with Gen Z.
I think they chose their themes brilliantly. They're tapping into this mix of classic horror that resonates with older audiences and newer, more pop culture infused horror that appeals to younger generations.
Like they created a horror buffet, something for everyone. But before we get too carried away imagining ourselves running through those haunted houses, let's take a quick step back.
Good idea. Sometimes it's helpful to zoom out, look at the bigger picture.
Exactly. We've been talking about horror as entertainment, but there's also a more serious side to this genre, isn't there? A way in which horror can reflect and comment on real-world issues.
Absolutely. Horror has always been a genre that's adept at holding up a mirror to society, at exploring our anxieties, our fears, even our darkest impulses.
I mean, some of the most successful horror films, they're the ones that tap into those deeper, more unsettling aspects of the human experience.
Exactly. And I think that's a topic worth exploring in more detail. When we come back, we'll delve into how horror can be this powerful tool for social commentary. And we'll explore some examples of films that have successfully used the genre to address, important issues.
Welcome back. So before the break, we were starting to talk about how horror can be more than just, entertainment. Like it can actually comment on real-world issues.
Yeah, horror has this ability to tap into our anxieties, our fears, and it uses those to explore deeper themes about society, about human nature, the world around us.
It's like horror can hold up this distorted mirror to reality, reflecting our flaws, anxieties, all in a way that's, well, unsettling, but also kind of illuminating.
Exactly. And some of the best horror films, well, they blend those scares with social commentary. They make us think, even when we're, covering our eyes.
Do you have any specific examples of films that do this well? I mean, ones that come to mind for me are like Get Out, which tackles, racial tensions, and the Purge movies.
What?
Those explore class inequality, societal breakdown.
Oh, those are great examples. Get Out is, it's a masterpiece. It uses horror tropes to expose racism. And the Purge films, well, they're more graphic, but they use that dystopian premise to really critique social systems and power structures.
What's so brilliant about them is they don't hit you over the head with their message.
Yeah.
The social commentary it's woven into the story, so it makes it more impactful.
That's the key. When social commentary feels organic, part of the narrative, well, it just resonates more. It sparks conversations, challenges perspectives, but it doesn't feel preachy.
Right. It's like the horror elements are a Trojan horse,
Yeah.
delivering these ideas, but in a way that's fun, that's engaging.
And sometimes those ideas, they can be challenging. They force us to confront, uncomfortable truths about ourselves, about the world.
That's what makes horror such a rich genre. It can be scary, it can be thrilling, it can make you think, and even hopeful in its own way.
Hopeful. I'm curious to hear more about that.
Well, even in the darkest horror films, even when the characters are, facing these impossible odds, there's often that glimmer of hope, that spark of resilience that keeps them fighting.
Yeah, you're right. There's often that one character who won't give up, who finds the strength to resist, to survive, to overcome the darkness.
It reminds us that even when things are scary, when there's despair, the human spirit, well, it endures. We can fight back, we can overcome, we can find hope, even in the darkest times.
And that message, that affirmation of human resilience, well, it can be powerful, especially in a world that can feel, pretty bleak sometimes.
So even though we've been talking about, Halloween, horror movies, things that scare us, I think there's a positive takeaway here.
I agree. It's almost like a paradox. By confronting our fears, by exploring the darkness, we can actually appreciate the light more, the strength of the human spirit, our ability to overcome and find hope.
It's like a reminder that we're all in this together, that we can face our fears, fight for what we believe in, and create a better world for ourselves, for future generations.
And maybe that's why we keep coming back to horror year after year. It's not just about the scares, it's about the catharsis, the reflection, the reminder that even in the darkest night, the dawn will come.
Beautifully put. So as we wrap up this Halloween deep dive, I think the message is pretty clear. Don't be afraid to embrace the darkness, explore those shadows, because, well, you might find some unexpected insights, or a renewed sense of hope, and a deeper understanding of yourself, of the world around you.
And who knows, you might even strengthen a few relationships along the way. Happy Halloween, everyone.